When I ran an R&D team for a major credit card issuer, I asked our borrowers what their major challenges were in getting out of debt. And without fail, they told me that it wasn't cash flow and it wasn't APRs. It was getting organized, creating a plan, being able to track, and getting specific recommendations. Well, that's what DebtGoal does. And we do it in a way that shapes behavior. So let me walk you through what we have. The major interfacing point for our users is what we call a dashboard. It's the My Debt Plan page. And this is going to seem really simple until you realize that the average borrower in America has probably 15 to 30 different debt accounts and spends 8 to 10 hours a month managing that debt. So what do? How do we help them? First thing we give them is a debt balance sheet. Now here I only have 4 accounts, but you can see that we give them a sum total of their balance so that they can track how that's changing over time. For many people, it's the first time they've ever seen it. We tell them what their payments are. We tell them when their payments are due. So that's getting organized. Just put it all in one place, make it simple to track. We help them create a plan, and I'm going to walk you through that in a second, and that just feeds into the payments. We motivate them by showing where they start, how much they've paid down so far, and above all, how much interest they can save over time by sticking to a plan, and how much earlier they can get out of debt. People are always surprised when they see that because it's pretty substantial. Fourth, in terms of tracking over time, I'll walk through that. And continuing on the motivation, we show member activity feeds. We show who's having success and what they're doing. We also provide a community. So let me walk through the plan. The plan's the biggest obstacle for folks. Honestly, if you hand people 30 different accounts, 30 different sets of statements, and say, here, create a plan for getting out of debt, most people are just going to shake their head. So after somebody enters in their accounts, and I'll walk through that experience in a sec, we send them to this page where we show them by following a plan, and you're going to hear different terms for this, but whether it's a snowball plan or a debt stacking, really the concept is simple. You just hold your amount the same every month. So here we're saying here's your current total of your minimums. You start, the sum total of your minimum payments is $2,700. They've set a payment of $3,000. And then if they can swizzle this, they can start to move this, and it'll show them how much interest they'll save over the lifetime of their debt and how much sooner they'll get out of debt. And here they'll save $11,000 and get out of debt 10 months sooner if they just bump that by an extra $100. So that's what they do to set a plan. Now once you get back here, you can see that translates into monthly payments for each account. And we've designated their target account or their priority account that they're trying to pay off with a target. That's the one they're really going after, and this is where all the excess cash is allocated. Over time, as they pay off accounts or pay down credit card balances, they'll free up cash. That'll get applied to this account. Now you'll see that this is not $3,000, which is where I left it on the previous page. It's $3,075. That's because as our users charge, as they screw up, as they deviate from their plan, we actually add this amount to their payment. We add it in such a way that we expose it. Again, we're trying to shape behavior and expose the impacts of their behavior. So we add it back, and this gets added back to whatever account they're trying to pay off. So overall, it bumps up, and it bumps up on a specific account. Now, what happens when somebody wants to make a payment? So let me just say we're going to make a payment on this one, picking randomly. So it's pretty simple. People are they're recording a payment. But the important thing, again, is going back to the motivation. Because what we hear from customers or our users is when they make a payment, it feels like they write a check and throw it immediately into the trash can. What they're not realizing is that when they make a payment, actually a good chunk of that comes back to them. It comes back to them in the form of reduced principal. And they earn interest. They save it. They basically invest this money, and they save interest in the future. So we expose that to people. And we find that it really motivates people. I don't know if we're ever going to get people excited and running to the mailbox to get their credit card statements, but we hope, because we think it's exciting. Okay, now the final thing is providing specific recommendations. We have this thing called Accelerator Actions. If the core of the plan is dealing with your accounts as they stand and just optimizing the payment schedule, there are things that you can do to get out of debt more quickly. Here's a partial list. One of our more popular is negotiating credit cards. Studies show that about 50% of the time that cardholders call their issuer, they can actually negotiate a lower rate. So we show that to them. So here's a user's credit cards. This is on a staging server, so we don't have the live data, but we show them their balance, we show them the success rate from others, the average rate reduction that others got, and what that would translate into in terms of savings. Then you can see for this guy, he had an old APR. His APR used to be 18%. He called, he changed it to 12%, and that resulted in about $800 of savings over the lifetime of his debt. The important thing is we give people steps that they can follow, specific scripts, other information that they can leverage to have success. We let them capture that new information, and we feed it back into the plan so that rather than just losing the benefit by just dropping their payment, we keep their payment the same to help them get out of debt more quickly. That's why we call them accelerators. So there's a whole list of this, ways to save money, ways to meet your budget. But the important thing is we show the impact it has on people's debt. So debt's a pretty big problem. And debt affects about 45% of America, roughly 45 million households. The costs of it are pretty real. The average family with debt pays about $4,000 a year just in interest on consumer debt alone. And it's primarily a behavioral issue. There's nothing about this that's whiz-bang. There's no magic. People really are just screaming out for basic organizational principles, and that's what we give them. It's a great market, and we love it. We're in the process of adding to this. We're adding automation technology and the ability to make payments so this will become a one-stop shop for our users to deal with it.